let's have the GOAT discussion. You're not going to pick anybody, but who are the greats of comedy? Who's the greatest comic of all time?
Well, I don't think there is a greatest comic of all time,
Is it
but
Norm Macdonald?
Norm Macdonald was one of the greats for sure.
Well,
But
by the way, actually, on that topic, what do you think about his? I think as a person who is fascinated by the fear of death and death, I think it was a truly genius thing to release a special after you're dead.
I don't know how that worked. I haven't seen the special. Have you?
It's not, yeah, it's called, I think, Nothing Special.
Which sounds like something Norm would say.
And it's basically him in front of, I mean, I imagine he wouldn't have wanted it edited that way because it's made to look nicer than I think he probably would have preferred it. But it's him in front of the screen, like on a Zoom call, doing jokes without cold.
Really?
Yeah. And somehow, given his like dry, dark humor, it works because it's almost making fun of itself, almost making fun of that hole that we were stuck alone inside. And because he's still acting as if he's in front of the audience and is almost making fun of the fact that this is what we're forced to do. I mean, it's quite genius. It's really well, and the jokes are really good, but it also makes you realize how important laughter is from the audience, the energy from the audience, because but there's also an intimacy because it's just you and him. Because you're listening to it, there's no audience.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I think it's quite genius, and he is, of course. There's certain comics that are like, not only are they funny, but they're truly unique. In like they're not in terms of friendship and all that kind of stuff, but in terms of comedy, they're an island.
Yeah.
It's like Mitch Hedberg probably is that. Of course, a lot of people then start to imitate them and so on. But
Stephen Wright.
Yeah. I mean, there's like people who are like, Dave Chappelle, who's like probably one of the greats, but he's just like raw funny.
Yeah.
I don't know if he's an island. He's just raw.
Yeah, I know what you're saying. An outlier, a unique individual. Yeah, he's just great. Norm was definitely unique in his greatness. Like there's only one Norm, who's got a very specific style.
Is there a reason you guys weren't? It doesn't seem like you guys were close.
I mean, I loved him. He was great. I always enjoyed talking to him. We just didn't work together that often. We weren't around each other that often. That's all it was. But it wasn't like it was. I loved him though. He was a great guy. I had a funny story about Norm. Twice, just randomly, I was on airplanes next to him.
Yeah,
seated right next to him. Just totally random.
Yeah.
And one time, we're on this airplane and we're having this talk, and he's like, "Yeah, I quit smoking. I was smoking a lot, and it's terrible smoking. It's terrible for you." And we have this great conversation. We get off the plane, and he sprints towards a store and buys cigarettes, like in the airport, and is lighting it on the way out the door. And I go, "I thought you quit smoking." He goes, "Yeah, I did, but all that talking about smoking made me wanted to smoke again." So before he's getting through the door of the airport, he's lighting it up. I can't wait. He can't wait to get that cigarette in him. He's just so crazy and impulsive and loved to gamble. He loved gambling.
And in that way, he embodied the joke. Like you can't even tell. There's certain people just like live in a non sequitur, ridiculous, absurd, funny way.
Yeah, that was him. I mean,
nonstop. It's just
there was nothing artificial about Norm. That was who he was. His brilliance was his essence. That was who he was. But it's in terms of like the greats, the godfather of it all is Lenny Bruce. I mean, I have a bunch of Lenny Bruce concert posters at my house and photos that I have framed. And Whitney Cummings actually gave me this brilliant photo of him when he got arrested for one of the times when he got arrested for saying obscene jokes. He was the most important figure in the early days of comedy because he essentially gave birth to the modern art form of stand-up comedy. Before that, it was a bunch of guys that were like hosting shows and they would tell jokes. They would just like, two guys walking to a bar, that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And he would talk about social issues. He would talk about life. He would talk about language. He would talk about laws. And it was just, he was the very first guy who did modern stand-up. And what's fascinating is if you go and you try to watch it, if you try to watch Lenny Bruce today, it doesn't work because society has evolved. Like in many ways, art is a window, especially like pop culture art or modern, at the time, culture art. Art that discusses culture is a window into that time period. It's a little bit of a time machine. So you get to you have to put yourself, what was it like to be in 1963?
Mm-hmm.
What was he say in 1963? What was this like to hear him say this? And the civilization that existed in 1963, although it looked pretty similar, they're all driving cars and they're all wearing suits and it seems normal. It's a different world. And the things that he was saying that are so taboo are so normal today that they're not shocking, and it's not that good. It's not that funny.
Yeah, you have to do the same kind of stuff for there's D.H. Lawrence has a book called Lady Chatterley's Lover, and I know it sounds ridiculous, but it was one of the early books, I believe, over a century ago, that was very controversial for its sexual content. It's sort of one of the great books because it dared to actually talk about a woman cheating on her husband and do so in the highest form. And the same thing with Gulag Archipelago, talking about some of the darkest aspects of human history right when all of that stuff is forbidden, when it's banned. Because now it's yes, we all know this history, but when in the middle of it, when you're risking your own life, when you're risking your book being banned or burned or you being in prison, that's when it matters, taking that risk.
Yeah, and no one took that risk more than Lenny Bruce. Lenny Bruce was arrested many, many times, and ultimately, it wound up costing him his life. I mean, he died on the bathroom floor shooting heroin and trying to cope with all the lawsuits that he was going through. I mean, this guy was constantly being arrested and constantly going through lawsuits. And then his comedy deteriorated horribly. There's some footage of him towards the end of his career where he's essentially would go on stage with legal papers and read from the legal papers about his case. From then, it's Richard Pryor. From him, then the next great is Richard Pryor, and he had the most profound impact on me when I was a kid. When I was 15 years old, my parents took me to see Live at the Sunset Strip, which is Richard Pryor's concert film. And I remember very distinctly being in that audience and laughing and looking around at all the people in the audience who were falling out of their chairs, just dying laughing, just swaying back and forth. And I was laughing hard too. And I was like, my God, this guy's doing this just by talking. And I thought of all the great movies that I'd seen that I loved that were hilarious comedy movies. And I was like, nothing that I've ever seen is as funny as this. And all he's doing is talking. And that planted a seed in my head for my love of stand-up comedy and my curiosity about the art form. And that's what got me interested in, watching it on television and then ultimately going to open mic nights and then eventually doing it.
I've actually been going to open mics a lot recently, just listening.
For psychological examinations of people?
No, it's actually really inspiring to me to see people that, some are funny, some are not so funny, unapologetically trying, putting it all out there night after night, eating shit.
Yeah.
My favorite is when, you're talking about 5 people in the audience and the jokes are just not landing. And they still, I don't know, it feels like even just empathetically, there's few things as difficult as that.
It's hard. I still remember
inspiring.
Those days. Many comics will say this, and I think Dane Cook was the first person I heard say it publicly, that if he ever had to go back and do it again, from scratch, doesn't think he could do it. Doesn't think he could endure the struggle of open mic to, ultimately to success. And the numbers of people that try it and fail versus try it and succeed are off the charts. I don't know if there's any other art form that has such a low rate of success
Because it's psychological. It's torture.
It is torture, and it's also not something you can learn. Like, here's the thing: like, if you you play guitar, you can learn to play guitar. Someone can teach you the chords, and if you do it, you could do all along the Watchtower. You could play it. You can't teach someone how to do comedy.
You think it's you're funny or not, or can you still figure it out? Like,
Yeah.
can you still learn?
You can figure it out. Yeah.
Can you
I don't think,
can you start unfun? Can you start being unfunny
yes,
and become funny?
Yes, it's possible. It's not easy though.
You're gonna have to eat a lot of shit.
You're gonna have to eat a lot of shit, and you're gonna have to examine why you're not funny, and you're gonna have to spend a lot of time with uncomfortable thoughts and try to figure out what it is. Like, what's missing? Like, you know, could you edit your stuff and make it better? Maybe you need to do drugs. Maybe you need to get involved in psychedelic drugs and rethink the way you interface with reality itself. Maybe you need your heart broken. Maybe you need to be in love. Maybe there's a lot of maybes there. Like, maybe you just need more life experience. But, you know, when I started comedy, I was 21 and I was a moron. I had no information. You know, I could do impressions of people and I could talk about sex.
Yeah.
Those are the things that I was interested in back then. I mean, if I was talking philosophically, I didn't have a philosophy. I didn't have a unique perspective on life. I hadn't experienced much.
So every time you bomb, it forces you to introspect, to ask questions of yourself, and then that's how you actually develop a philosophy.
Yeah.
Of what you actually believe.
You learn through doing. And I think you could say that about podcasting too.
Yeah.
You know, I'm certainly way better at having conversations than I ever was when I first started doing comedy. Or, excuse me, when I first started doing podcasts.
You learn. Stick with it, kid, because one day you'll be able to interview Donald Trump. You'll be mad enough to handle that conversation. How hard is it to do? Because I've been really curious. It's been on my bucket list because I'm terrified. I want to do everything I'm terrified of.
You got to do stand-up?
No, but I do want to do like 5-minute like open mic.
Why don't you do Kill Tony?
How hard is it to do 5 minutes, would you say?
It's hard. Well, it depends on, you know, how long you've been thinking about doing comedy. It depends on how you look at things. And also depends on your style of comedy. Like, the most difficult style of comedy is like, I think like Stephen Wright's style is probably the most difficult style of comedy, complete non sequiturs. One subject doesn't lead into the next. There's no flow to it. It's just, I noticed this, I noticed that, and then there's this, and then there's that. And that's hard to memorize, and it's really hard to piece together an hour of non sequiturs.
But it's easier because you can rely on the joke. It sits more with the joke. Like, whether you're funny or not is on the actual material versus like the timing and the energy, the dance with the audience, right? Because like, if you don't have the raw jokes like Stephen Wright does or Mitch Hedberg, then you have to. It's all about the delivery.
Yeah, and that they either kill or they bomb.
Is it random? Like,
whether they kill or bomb?
Yeah.
Well,
in the beginning, I mean,
you're essentially a different person every day of your life. You know, you're similar, but you're more tired, you're more rested, you're exhausted, you're refreshed, you have vitamins and food and nourishment in your system, you just had your heart broken, you haven't slept in days. You're a different person all the time. And you go onto that stage, you're in the neighborhood of who Lex Fridman is. You're in the Lex Fridman neighborhood. Which Lex Fridman am I going to get?
Yeah.
You know?
Energy levels.
Yeah.
It depends. It all depends. But the other thing with Kill Tony is it's videotaped. It's so you eating shit
is on there forever.
Forever.
The world can see it. But it's one of the most important shows in comedy. It's the most important show in comedy because, first of all, it establishes stand-up in a sense that, like, for the open micers, for the people that are starting it out, it establishes that the most important thing is to be funny. Like, this is what the art form is all about. And there's a lot of insecurity attached to that, a lot of fears. And so to alleviate some of those insecurities and fears, people will decide that the message is more important. And they'll pretend that, you know, like, you have to have, like, you have to be socially aware that you have to promote things that are positive in your comedy, which is bullshit. The people that say that, they're all bad. They're all bad at comedy. And that's where the insecurity is. It's like they can't just kill. So they have to pretend that they're supposed to be socially aware, and that being socially aware is an important part into society. Like, let me explain something really clearly. There's not a fucking person on earth who's ever changed their life because of a joke. That's not what they're there for. They're there for jokes. The people that say that, they say that socially important comedy is the only comedy that's necessary, the only comedy that you have to do. That is just because they suck.
Yeah.
That is it. It's like the cop-out is that they can't do the real comedy. They can't crush. It's not like someone goes from being, take like Shane Gillis, one of the best comics up and coming right now. He's fucking fantastic. I can't recommend enough seeing that guy live. I work with him in Irvine, and I hadn't seen like his whole set. I was crying. I mean, he's so good.
I heard he's so a racist, so I haven't listened to any of his material. No.
He's so good. And his comedy is just trying to be as funny as possible. Yeah. There's not a chance in hell that guy's just going to go woke and is just going to start promoting some sort of, socially conscious agenda that's, facetious and just a bunch of nonsense that he's trying to elevate his own personal brand and virtue signal. That's not going to happen. The thing about Kill Tony is, in that, because you only have 1 minute, and because it's live, and because you don't want Tony shitting on you or everybody else shitting on, everybody's just gearing up to try to be as funny as possible. And no one cares if you are gay or straight or Asian or black or trans or non-binary. Nobody gives a fuck. Are you funny? If you're funny, you're in, and everybody loves you. You could be 80, you could be 20. Nobody gives a shit. You could be a woman or a man or ambiguous. Nobody fucking cares. Are you funny? And that's the most important thing for a community of comedy, to really promote comedy. Just funny. Just be funny. And so in that sense, Kill Tony is a real cornerstone of comedy.
It's a reminder what comedy is supposed to be about.
Yeah.
That said, even the funniest stuff has underneath it some wisdom that comes out of it, but that's not the primary goal of it.
Yeah, I mean, it
Tim
might
Dillon
be inspiring and fun. Oh, Tim Dillon's a great example of that. Yeah,
I mean,
he's got some amazing insights in his comedy, but it's
all about
fucking comedy.
It's all about the funny.
Yeah, it's all of the funny. He's the best at doing that, especially in a podcast form, about weaving like really important points in with hilarious, obviously just jokes.
Let me ask you, speaking of Tim Dillon, a chaotic, fucked up individual. Can we go to your childhood real quick? A brief stroll. So your mom and dad split up when you were 5. From a Jungian perspective, if you look at your subconscious, what impact do you think that had on you in forming who you are as a man, as a human being?
Well, at the time, I thought that my father was like a hero. He was my dad. I think every kid thinks like that about his dad. His dad is like, your dad's your protector. Your dad is like the coolest guy in the world. That's what you like. Him. Yeah. Everybody wants to be like their dad, especially if your dad is like an imposing figure. I remember one time me and my cousin got in a fight over nothing. It was like over who's tougher, King Kong or Godzilla.
Yeah. Over nothing. That's an important, but yeah.
And he said,
actual fight, actual physical
I
fight.
punched him in the face. And
this is when you were like 5?
Yeah. And so,
which side were you on?
King Kong.
Okay.
I was wrong. Godzilla's like way bigger.
Yeah.
Godzilla's 500 feet tall and he shoots fire out of his mouth.
Yeah. Are you sure? I mean, there's an argument to be made. It's not all about size, right?
No, there's no argument to be made. 500 feet tall versus 50 feet tall. One's a gigantic dinosaur. One is a stupid monkey who gets shot down by a plane.
You don't think
you can't kill Godzilla?
Godzilla, like
no,
take his back?
No, okay. You can't kill Godzilla with a plane. Like that shit wouldn't work in Godzilla. Yeah. Killed King Kong. Right. King Kong in the new movies kept growing.
He's getting bigger and bigger. Yeah,
got to the point where he's as big as Godzilla.
It just feels like King Kong is stronger.
Oh, stop.
Back take, immediate back take. You don't think there's a back take? There's a difference
If he's the
between
same size.
human weapons and two animals going at it of a different size. You don't think there's in the jungle a smaller animal can take on a bigger animal, like a monkey versus let's see, a lion, monkey versus a bear.
What?
Who wins?
A monkey versus
not a monkey.
bear?
Not a monkey. What's the strongest ape?
Gorilla.
No, but gorilla. Okay, gorilla can't do back takes. I'm thinking of like a smaller. You know what I'm saying? Because in jiu-jitsu, you see this all the time.
You remember that scene in Talladega Nights? Do you know Talladega Nights?
Yeah.
Where the little boy's talking to his grandpa? I'll be all over you like a spider monkey.
Exactly. Spider monkey. I was thinking, all right.
There's some animals. Like, here's a better example. A wolverine. Wolverines chase wolves and bears off of their kills. And they're not very big at all. They're just so ferocious. And they're so durable. Like, it's very hard to kill a wolverine.
Yeah. And there's videos of like cats, like not actual like domestic cats or domestic dogs starting shit with much larger animals.
Yeah.
And if they're ferocious enough.
Well, pit bulls are a great example of that. Pit bulls are small. Like real game bred pit bulls are like 35, 45 pounds. And they'll kill much larger dogs.
Anyway, you were on King Kong's side.
Yeah, so
shit out of your cousin.
I remember he said to me, like I thought I was in like real trouble because I remember my cousin's mom was yelling at me and it was like, "You monster!" all this crazy shit. So, my dad got me alone and he said, "Tell me what happened." And I told him, we got in a fight. We were arguing over King Kong and Godzilla, and I punched him in the face. And he goes, "Did you cry?" I go, "No." He goes, "Good. Don't ever cry." And I remember that. Like, whoa. Okay. And I remember thinking, all right, I'm just going to start punching people. Because, like, obviously my dad thinks it's a good idea if I go running around punching people as long as I don't cry. Like, I remember certain things about, and also, like, this is, again, like we were talking about watching Lenny Bruce and getting a timeline of what the world was like back then. This is a different world.
Yeah.
In 1970, this would have been 1972. It's a different world back then, man. Like a really different world.